Boom, hello and welcome to the Executive Protection Lifestyle Podcast, Season 3. With your host, Byron Rodgers. This podcast is dedicated to the executive protection practitioner, the private security professional. In this podcast, we're going to talk about the mental, emotional, psychological, physiological fitness that goes into being an efficient and effective executive protection agent. Whether you're in law enforcement, whether you're a mom that's looking at how to protect her children or a father that's focused on how to protect his family, I believe this podcast has something for all of you. We might even get into some tales from the crypts of true Hollywood stories from time to time. I'm doing this podcast because I feel the reality of this job is simple. If you really want to be good at executive protection, it's more than just a job. It really is a lifestyle. And those of you who've been in the game for any serious amount of time, you already know what I'm saying is true. So if that sounds interesting to you, enjoy the show. Out. Boom! What's up, you guys? Byron Rodgers here, back with another episode of the Executive Protection Lifestyle Podcast. I've got Ivor Terret of Enablement Advisors with me again, back for a second episode. How you doing, sir?
Great, Byron. How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm good. It's an honor to have you back on the show.
I was going to try the boom thing, but I'll just knock my computer. I'm not as well versed as you.
No, man, the boom is I don't know. Originally I was like, it was just kind of a thing that I felt like doing when I was getting myself into state to do a video. And then it turned into a thing. And so now, when I'm coaching with my class or interacting with people, if I don't do the boom, now they call me out. I'll see in the DM, and then the message is like, "Hey, man."
I think it's awesome. Where's
the boom at?
I think it's great.
No, thanks, man. So now it's the way, man. That's awesome. But I think you were with us. It was like season 1 towards the beginning of this whole thing, like 2 years ago.
Wow, time flies when it's a global pandemic.
That's true. It's fast and slow at the same time, man. But I guess before we dig in, why don't you give us a little bit of a background for those of you who aren't familiar with you yet?
Yeah, sure. So I own and run a small boutique consultancy called Enablement Advisors. Everyone provides specialist solutions and, bespoke solutions. Okay. So do we, right? So we provide specialist solutions, mainly strategic to governments, Fortune 100 and Forbes 20 listers. It's a pretty nice space to be in. It's a clean space. It's a nice space. And I've been in the industry, I'd say, wow, I'm just thinking, a year short of 30 years in this industry. And when I say in the industry, I'm including military service, police service. So just sort of 30 years of protecting people, which is really a passion, right? It's what we do. Oh, yeah. So what's your saying about protectors? What is it?
More than just a job. It's more than just a job.
No, you say something about trade. It's protector by trade or by nature.
Protector by nature and by trade.
I like it.
And it's true. The ones that go far, like that. When I talk to guys and I've done great things, it's always like, this is who I am. This is what I'm doing. I'd be protecting no matter where I am or what I was doing.
Absolutely, and I've been doing it for a while, and I don't do it physically anymore. What I like to do, we consult, I import knowledge. I help others avoid the mistakes that I've made and learn from successes that I've had. And I had a short stint where I was in the high-tech industry. I worked for a startup, not in a security space, in a proper computer space. And it was great. It was incredible. But we had an exit, and then when I came back to this industry, I just felt at home. I mean, this is who we are, right? This is who we are. Mm-hmm. So my career started in the public eye. I ran up a security organization for the Jewish security in Cape Town, South Africa, in the mid-90s. So we had about 90 venues that were under my responsibility. We had a volunteer security force of just over 200 volunteers. Wow. I had no idea what I was doing. I was young, 19, thought I had all the answers. I didn't even know which questions to ask. And then came to Israel, served in the IDF for a little bit in a mechanized infantry units specializing actually in, for wartime mechanized infantry. For regular ops, we specialized in urban warfare. So CQB.
Yeah.
Then I served a little bit in the police force here in the old city of Jerusalem, which I'm sure you are familiar with. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was awesome.
That place.
A small unit over there, both because of the languages I spoke and just because of the demographics. It was a super, super interesting time. From there, I moved over to to work for the US government, and I helped architects and start up. Well, that's not actually true. I didn't start it up. I was the first group that was chosen to launch a pilot program doing covert protection and surveillance detection for US diplomats and interests around the world. Tel Aviv was chosen as the pilot program, and we did that together with the Israeli authorities over here because we're in Israel, right? Mm-hmm. And so that was a fantastic program. Left there for high tech for a little bit, and then came back to the industry and have been working in the private sector since.
Outstanding.
So just a little bit of background.
Yeah, no, man. I mean, I remember once I started, for some perspective for you guys too, once I started like going to events and like meeting people, you know, Ivor was one of those guys, everyone's like, oh, that's Ivor. You need to know who he is. Like, he's one of the guys. And I'm like, he's one of the cool guys. He's one of the dudes. You know, he's made an impression on the industry. He's helped a lot of people. And this is somebody that, you know, would do you some good to really follow and look into. And the things you're offering. I'm so excited by the things that you guys are starting to offer to the industry, because I think one thing I've taken away from your brand, Ivor, is just like, you're so smart, man. Your presentation and the thinking you put, and he's really humble. He's not going to take this. I'm just saying this because you guys need to know it. But the presentation, the way that his brand looks and feels, is always been the utmost of professionalism, and everything that you've even spoken to me about doing has been so well thought out. Like, I'm usually listening to you being like, man, this is higher level, very well thought out. And I'm always really impressed by that. It's an honor to be able to have these conversations with you.
Thank you.
Absolutely. No, 100%, man. Or I think we did an EDC episode too.
Yes.
And everyone's, you know, I did a few of them, and everyone's like, you know, talking about their guns and their, you know, cool guy stuff. And you're like, what did you say? Like a good pair of shoes and like an apple
and a watch.
And a watch. Yeah. You know, but I mean, you're like the Cove Pro guy, the Covert Protection, you know, one of the original, you know, of that game. So I think between you and Caleb Gilbert, somewhere in there, that thing was kind of born or brought to the game. You can help me with that. But.
Caleb needed it for his detail, and I came in to make it happen together with him.
Yeah. And that's something we've even been wanting to bring you on and talking about, you know, integrating in some of our details. So you guys check this stuff out, man. With everything being so PC and brand presentation, you know, the way that your detail looks from the outside to the public.
It's huge.
So huge nowadays. Covert protection, if you have the assets or just learning about how to do that, it's a huge value add, I believe, to a lot of clients, especially if they don't want to be seen with security. What would you say about that?
Absolutely. So there's two sides to covert protection. One is the business side. The business side is it's a good sell to people that don't want the image of a lots of security, and that people that don't want to feel security. So more and more, especially stateside clients, want security. They feel they need security. And when I say they feel, I'm not belittling anyone. I'm just saying I don't know, because I haven't done a risk assessment on everyone in the world, right? So they feel they need security, and they don't want to feel the security. So that's the business side. Of course, there's the image side as well. They don't want people to see. They don't want press to see. Maybe they don't want too many shareholders to see, whatever it is. The operation side, which is where I'm sort of born from, is that if the bad guys don't see us, they'll be more prone to making mistakes and less alert, which will allow us to stop them earlier in the attack cycle. That's the bottom line. It helps us reclaim a bit of the surprise. So normally, if I'm standing there with my earpiece and I'm clearly security, bad guy will see me. They'll say, there's security. Let me see a vulnerability. Let me learn their routine. Let me circumvent them. But if they don't see me as security, they'll still see me. But if they don't see me as security, they won't care because they'll be looking for security. And that's when I get the advantage over them. So absolutely, Cove Pro is not, it's not a one size fits all solution. It's part of an overall strategy. So the strategies change. If the strategy has place for covert protection, it'll work great, but it's not a standalone solution to anything.
Yeah, perfect. And hence the good pair of shoes and a watch for EDC.
Absolutely.
It's so good.
I can tell you, I've used my shoes and my watch way more than I've used a gun. I can tell you that.
Yeah. That's true, man. That's true. No one can argue with that in the game.
I'm not anti firearm. I'm just saying, in the reality of today's world, especially I'm putting 2020 aside. 2020 didn't happen. So when we travel all over the world, just like you do, and we do work and we do operations, if I'm going to work now in the States or in England or somewhere else, I'm not going to have a weapon. So, that's just my own thing, Not saying we don't need it. I'm saying I'm not going to have it.
Yeah. 100%. No, I couldn't agree more. Who would you say you are at your core? I always like to just hit this one on the way in.
I like to think, and this is going to sound extremely arrogant and stupid, but it's the truth. I like to think I'm a good person at my core, and I try to be a good person.
Yes.
Whether it's in my personal life, which I won't even speak about here, but whether it's my personal life or business, I always try to be a good person. And I always try and help good people succeed. And that's not a marketing thing. It's not a jargon thing. It's truly what makes me happy. It's a selfish thing because it makes me happy. So I'd say that's who I am at my core. And I'm also a bit of a perfectionist and a purist, which is great when you're in the government. It's very challenging when you're not, right? When you've got to compromise and work in the real world. That's why I'm at my core. Just a regular Joe. Just a regular Joe trying to make ends meet, man.
No, I love it, man. I absolutely love it. And it's something that I've noticed. It's very distinct, because you've always been like, at least with me, you've always been encouraging. But you've also always looked out, and you've guided me and given me some really good feedback, and I need it. I'm always open to it because I'm still young, trying to figure out, get my traction here, trying to.
We all still trying to figure it out, Byron.
Yeah. And that humility, it definitely shows, man. It definitely shows. And it's rare. And I really hope that in our industry, we see a lot more of that, man, because so many people have so much to contribute. And it's sad sometimes. I find guys that are awesome. I'm like, let's talk about this on the show. And, there's the gray man, the silent professional thing, which I respect. But then there's the fear of being the man in the ring too, because it can get a little tribal sometimes and people don't want to get eaten alive. And we get a little of that here and there, so I really appreciate that about you, man. 100%. So what have you been up to, these days, now that what's the game look like for you these days? How's COVID? Well, we'll get to that. What have you been up to these days specifically?
So it's all interlinked with COVID, with your next question. So I've been looking to remarket or rebrand myself and my business as more of a strategic solutions house as opposed to tactics. And when I left government service, I went heavy into we started out as surveillance detection for the private sector, and then developed what I call surveillance detection enabled security. And then Cove Pro started coming up, and always been super tactical, right? But at my core, what I wanted to do was much more strategic. And COVID offered me an opportunity to make that transition to a more strategic business. So over the past years, I left, I was VP at AS Solution until 2017. 2017, I resigned, had a great time there with Christian and the team. And I left there, and we've been doing a lot of consulting, a lot of strategic consulting. So the typical risk assessments and risk analysis we do, the typical startup of details we do. But more than that, we'd come in and we'd say, all right, let's have a look at your entire security organization and help everything align and build it up. The tactics we'll get to after, but first let's work on a strategy. And that one, we've been doing that, but what COVID allowed me to do was to rebrand like that. So because we weren't out doing the tactical training and the Covert training and the EP training and stuff for clients, all we were doing was strategic consulting for clients, which was fantastic. And as part of the strategic consulting, I thought to myself, I was really missing the training. And I thought that to myself, I still think it, but at the time I thought, what can I do? There's all these people doing remote training and e-learning, and it's all awesome, but I'm not going to be one who goes and does a course on shooting or underwater knife fighting on remotely. It's like, it's cool for those that do it. Viking ninjas. So it's cool for those that do it, all the success to them. I'm not one of them, right? I'm very old fashioned. I believe if you want to learn how to shoot, get down, stand on the line, learn how to shoot. If you want to learn how to fight, get in the ring, learn how to fight. So, and I didn't believe that I could succeed doing that through e-learning because I didn't believe in it. And I don't believe that you can succeed in something if you don't believe in it. And like I said, those that are doing it, all the power to them. I'm not knocking them. I just can't do it. I can't succeed like that. So I didn't do it. And then I sat back and I thought, who are we as a business? Who are we culturally? What do we do? And I read through my website and through marketing material, and all the time it came up of being strategic and leaders. And I thought, you know what? I want to help people be good security leaders. For 30 years, I've been helping people be good agents. Let me help them be good leaders. Where are those people today? And what we did was we started the Enablement Academy of Leadership Excellence.
Outstanding.
Which is awesome. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's so good.
It's awesome. So the Academy of Leadership Excellence, what it is, it's an online asynchronous learning system. So an e-learning platform. It's not recorded Zoom conversations, lessons over Zoom. It's actual content. There's exams. There's essays that have to be done. There's projects that need to be done and submitted for marking. And there's two levels. What we do is we've got one, which is the corporate security leader, which comprises of a core module of core leadership skills. We touch on security, but it's not a how to do security course. It's how to be a leader. It's how to be an effective CSO. And then we branch off with specialties for whatever direction you're going to in leadership. And then the second level, which we haven't announced, I think this is the first time I'm mentioning it sort of publicly, is the team lead level. So through all the training and consulting I've been doing over the years, I've recognized, and it's no insult to anyone, it's just a fact, that middle management in our industry sucks.
Yeah.
Okay? Middle management sucks. There's incredible people that have not been given the tools to succeed. And because this, again, to strategy, because there's no defined strategy above for them and their personal development, what happens is middle management focuses on putting out day-to-day fires with the detail. This one doesn't come to work. This one's out training. How do we fill their spot? The client's not happy about this. What do we do? And that's super important. But there's no overall strategy for that team lead or that middle manager to run the detail. It's all about running day to day. It's not about an annual program of development. It's not about quality control. I mean, I've spoken to someone who considers themselves a big persona in the industry, and other people consider them a persona in the industry. And I was having banter about quality assurance and what I call operational readiness, being ready for an emergency. And they said, oh, no, we do it. I go and I check my agents and I check that they've got their guard card and that it's still, it hasn't expired yet. And I'm like, hey, hold on a second. That's not quality assurance. That's not operational readiness. How, do they know their procedures? Are their procedures risk-based? Do they know what to do in an emergency? Can they explain to you why they do it? All this stuff it's missing. So what we did at the Academy is we're putting content together to help develop team leads and give them the skills to run a detail, to prepare that detail for an emergency and to make sure day-to-day it runs seamlessly, right? Because then when there are the fires to put out, one, there'll be less fires. Two, the fires will be a lot smaller, which will enable them to work a better detail. If you're not busy dealing with the little things, you can focus on really getting ready for the big things. So that's what we've been doing. We've been putting a lot of work into it. We've also been doing a fair amount of online programs for our clients. Again, not tactical, strategic. So a fair amount of our clients have come to us and said, hey, can you do this for us? Can you develop a program? We've seen what you're doing at the Academy. Can you help us do something in the meantime? Because our agents and our team leads and everyone's they're not doing anything. They're sitting at home and we need to keep them engaged and continue professional development. So with that, I'll say the Enablements Academy of Leadership Excellence, our corporate security leadership program, qualifies for ASIS recertification points. So anyone who holds an ASIS certification, we are CPE preferred vendors of ASIS. So automatically, if they submit certification from us, they will get their certification renewed. That's the one thing for the CPP holders, etc. The other thing, we just got it about 2 weeks ago. Huge. We just got it about 2 weeks ago. Less relevant for the US market. Might be relevant. But for the rest of the world, someone that qualifies from our Academy of Leadership Excellence, our qualification is recognized officially by the education, sort of the awarding body of tertiary education in the United Kingdom, the government authority called Ofqual at the diploma level. I specifically didn't want to go to academia level, at the diploma level, and that is also recognized throughout the European Union. So that's huge as well. So that's what I've been up to. And again, we've been doing the regular work that we do, right? We've been doing the regular stuff, the consulting and the strategic stuff and realigning programs. So over COVID, we worked with several of the largest corporations in the world and we realigned their programs. So we didn't just realign their EP program. We looked at all their programs to do with the executives and we realigned everything. From their headquarters to campus, to residential, to EP in their home country, to EP when traveling, to protective intel. We realigned everything. And now everything moves off everything. So all the day-to-day procedures and the emergency procedures all interface, just like cogs of gears, right? Just cogs of a wheel or of a machine. Everything interfaces and works together. And we've smashed down all those silos. So that's what we've been busy doing during COVID. And the other thing is we've been waiting until we can travel, which is awesome. I'm heading out in, I don't know when this will be aired, but I'm heading out at the end of April to Vegas to teach a Covert Protection class on behalf of Allied Universal. Level 1 and level 2, which is my first trip since February last year. And this is the longest period that I've been in one place in over 2 decades. And it's been awesome. It's been awesome. Man. Yeah.
It's so amazing. It's like, not to get too Jordan Peterson, but out of chaos can come higher order, and that's something I've seen, with this COVID thing and in my life time and time again. But, it's like some people are like, this has been the worst year ever. And other people have been like, this has really changed my perspective. And I've gotten all these valuable things done in the meantime. And it leveled up a lot of people, especially on the tech side.
Absolutely. And I realize it's been a difficult year for a lot of people, medically, psychologically, emotionally, financially. I went through it too at one point. I mean, we all went through a little bit of what the hell's going on here. But on the whole, I use the term, I feel I use the term wisely. And now we're just coming out, man. Coming out fighting, as they say.
No, 100%. I'm really excited about this. It's something that's so needed, man. I mean, even just improving the systems that run a detail and improving those leadership capabilities, because you get put in these leadership positions eventually as your career evolves and you get your stripes. And you're like, well, I guess this is what I'm supposed to do. I've seen guys do it, and you think you know what you're doing.
Exactly. And there's good people doing great things. Make no mistake. What I'm looking to do is to provide the tools so that they understand processes and they understand why. Then how they implement it on their detail is every detail's the same. But what I've seen time, and not all details, right? Not all my clients, but what I've seen time and time again, also when I teach, is a lot of people, just like you said, they progress through their career because of either time, because they're well liked by their superiors, by the client. All those reasons are good reasons for progress. But at no point have they been given the tools to deal with that responsibility. So you're given more responsibility, but you don't have the tools to make it work. And sometimes it works, but is it working as well as it could be? Are you very stressed because you're dealing with this and that? You don't have to be stressed. Just follow process.
Yes. Improve your processes. No, it's awesome. And I felt that stress as well, man. Like, all right, we got to figure this out. It's time to just get in here. And half of us got thrusted into the game, and had to learn on the job anyway. So it's like, it's not weird. And as I think as more assets like this appear to help professionals find their way and learn from, those who've gone before them, I just think it's such a good thing. And it's awesome that people like yourself are stepping up and creating these assets for people to go ahead and learn from. And then it being recognized by, ACES and these other international organizations, like, that's huge, man.
Yep.
That's huge. Yep. That's very valuable to the professional, 100%.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because I'm nice and I have a brand. Some people might not like the brand, and that's cool. But what does it really matter? What really matters is it recognized industry-wide, right?
Yeah.
And so that's what I'm going for, to help people really, really get forward, really get that job that they're looking for and succeed in it.
Yes.
That's really what I want. I want the people to succeed, to do well.
No, outstanding. Absolutely. And that's huge. That's one of the, and I'd like to mention that this was a lot of, having you come in as one of our master's class instructors is definitely something that I'm really honored to have take place. This type, just the way that you're thinking and the things that you're doing, I'm really looking forward to that project that we're doing for the school for training day as well. Because the stuff you do, man, it really, really helps people. It's awesome. So looking forward to that for sure. What would you say? Do you have any advice to folks, the guy on the ground that went through the pandemic? Is there any advice you'd have for surviving a situation like this, an anomaly like this? Because it very well probably may come again.
So I hope you're wrong. I hope it doesn't come again.
I hope I'm wrong too.
That way, right? So I'll tell you some lessons I learned, right?
Yes.
And I learned them through myself or through seeing what's going on around me. The first one is at the beginning, change creates chaos, right? But don't let that chaos rule the chaos. So take a step back, take a deep breath and see what's going on. See the picture. Then I'd say the same as I do for everything. Make a plan and work your plan, right?
Yes.
So don't just sit back and say, things are terrible. I can't do anything. I can't work. What am I going to do? Instead of saying, what am I going to do? Do something. Decide and do it. And the other thing that I've seen, and this isn't necessarily me, but this is advice to anyone who's out there, is don't live month to month. Always have a few months of resources in the bank. I think that's the biggest thing for everyone, because when the pandemic hit, and for a lot of people, the financial tap just shut down. It just closed, right?
Right. 100%.
And that's when the real stress happened for a lot of folks, especially the operational folks that aren't on salary, that work according to a daily rate and they work project to project. They got hit super, super, super hard. And, not knocking anyone at all. This is just a generic example, but if you got your super expensive watches and your super expensive cars and stuff, but you're living really month to month, that's probably not the best way to do it. The best way to do it is to have your super fancy cars and super nice watches, and to donate to charity if you have a little extra, and to have a few months in the bank. So I'd say that the few months in the bank should be a priority over everything else. And I think that's the biggest financial lesson learned that I've seen from my peers and colleagues and friends, regardless of industry, especially if you work on a daily wage or project-based salary. Do that. On the flip side, some advantages is that a lot of people got let go from work, right? Which doesn't sound good, but a lot of people got let go. They were going to get low anyway because they didn't like their boss. The boss didn't like them, the client. So now that they got let go during the pandemic, no one really questions it. So that's the good side of things.
You get out of jail free.
Get out of jail free card, a clean slate. My advice would be, as with any industry, and not something I practice myself always, or especially when I was younger, but definitely now in later years, solid financial planning is not just a slogan. Have that egg put away for when a bad surprise comes and kicks you in the teeth. Because that's when it's going to count.
No, that's huge. Absolutely. I remember. I think it took me probably when I first started hitting 30, I started being like, I've been doing this EP stuff and making pretty decent money since I was 21. I was like, I got a lot of really cool stuff and nothing to show for it. And it was like, thank God I woke up to that, because I was just like, what have I even been doing? How am I still going month to month here? And I was like, man, you've been blessed to have work, but you got to start playing the long game. You work for money your whole life. You don't figure out how to not do that. You'll just keep working for money your whole life.
Absolutely. That's the key is, don't work for things. And we need to enjoy the money, right?
Oh, yeah.
It's not about how much, but we need to enjoy it. If I want to go out for a nice meal, I want to go out for a nice meal. And that's fun. People should. We shouldn't be slaves to work. We shouldn't be slaves to money. We shouldn't live for work. We should work in order to live a lifestyle.
100%.
But financially plan. Put something aside. If you want that nice new, I don't know, Corvette or Beamer or truck, whatever it is, get it. But maybe it'll take you another 4 months to save for, because you've got another savings plan that your money is going into as well. Just plan well financially, because now it's a global pandemic. Tomorrow it might be a broken foot.
Yeah.
And you can't work. So things happen. So that's really the biggest take, I'd say. And if you look who survived financially, who survived the pandemic, it's those that either planned or those that were on salary. But those that were project-based, either they had to adapt and were lucky, or they got really screwed.
That's interesting.
So I think, that's what I'd say. So It's nothing tactical. I'm sorry. It's all strategic.
No, it is tactical. It's just in a different way. What would you say? Something else that you've done really well is dig into the consulting side of things. What advice would you have for, maybe a business owner or professional that would like to try to dig into that side of the business, the industry?
Okay, so it's a bit of a Pandora's box.
All right. How much time you got, buddy?
So I'll say in the sometimes blunt and unintentionally abrasive way I say things.
Yes.
Don't think because you're an agent you can do consulting.
Yes.
And don't think because you're a consultant you can be an agent. They're two different things. Okay.
Yes.
One of the things I've seen across the industry on a global scale whether it's in Israel, UK, US, Africa, Australia, anywhere I work, I see the same patterns. And this was one of the drivers for the academy, by the way, was that very often agents or field protectors are tasked with tasks that they shouldn't be, with consulting type tasks. So a principal might be traveling and you've got a whole team at the residence, a whole team at home. And the manager comes, or the detail lead comes and says, hey, you guys haven't got anything going on. Please do a risk assessment on the residence, do a risk assessment on this, do that, whatever. But because you're an agent, it doesn't mean you know how to consult. It doesn't mean you know how to provide advice. And it's not an intelligent thing. It's not a qualification thing. It's not a capability thing. It's just where you are in the knowledge base you have. So I'd say the best advice for a company that wants to do consultancy, first thing I'll say is outsource all your work to us. That's the first thing. Second thing I'll say is get the right people. Get people that have worked operationally and get people that know how to consult. A junior agent, even a senior agent, might not know how to consult if they've been tactical their whole career. Find someone that knows how to do it, that understands process at the strategic level, not only the tactical, and do what you're good at, right? And the reason I say find someone who's been operational as well, there's a profession in our industry, I don't know if you've come across it, it's called a security engineer, right? So security engineer, these are super, super, super smart people, men and women, who they'll come and they'll tell you, you need a camera that meets these technical requirements and specifications and can work under this lighting and that lighting and these weather conditions. And I can also read a spec sheet, but these guys are really into it. They're engineers by trade.
Yeah.
They're technical engineers. But some of them, most of them, have never worked a shift. So they'll be able to tell you what cameras you need and what magnometers you need, but they don't see how it fits into the big picture. All they see is how it fits into a control room or a GSOC, but they don't see the big operational picture. Now, I'm not knocking them. I'm saying they've got a place. The operationals people have a place. A good consultant or consulting company knows how to bring all of that knowledge together into one product for the client. So don't think that, you've worked on a couple of shifts, so you know how to do a risk assessment, and don't use staff during downtime. Don't use field agents during downtime to do consulting for your detail. That's exactly what your team lead should be doing. That's why team lead should know how to do that, right? Team lead should have a much broader and deeper perspective than the agent. So I don't know if that answered your question. I sort of went on a personal rant about stuff, but
no, I think it's great. I think it gives people a really good perspective, really, and that's what this this conversation is all about. And if someone wants to learn the art of becoming a consultant, where would you direct them?
Well, there's a great academy called the Enablement Academy of Leadership Excellence. I'd say that.
Yes, I love it. It is. I mean, sure.
It is. I'd say that the team lead classes, it's not a consulting class, but it gets you much closer. And really, and this is a bit of a catch-22, where good consultants shine, it's through experience in the field, education, and experience. So I'd say don't rely on your experience in the field, right? Or your time spent in the field. Study things that you should know. There's CPP. There's all sorts of great certifications out there. Learn from your peers. Ask questions. And then get experience consulting. So we designed for... my company designed for AS Solutions. We designed, after I left, we designed a team lead class for AS, which in essence was the first step of learning to be a consultant. We took the group and we teach them the principles of assessing risk, how to truly understand risk, how to interface with intelligence, what you want from intelligence, what protective intelligence is truly, And it's not geopolitical analysis, it's everything else. And then we'd actually spend a week plus with them doing risk assessments on actual locations. And then we'd work with them, teaching them how to define, we'd give them emergency scenarios and teach them to define the responses for those, and then how to set up their security so that the routine, the day-to-day stuff, provides a solid platform for that emergency, right? So there are, and that's the step one of being a consultant. So there are places to go out and learn it, but they're few. They're few. The UK has more than the US. If you're looking to be a consultant, I'd say there's a few in the US. I'd say also look at the UK. The standard of security in the UK is high. I'm not talking about SIA or CP or badges or anything. I'm talking about the overall industry. It's a pretty mature security industry, as is the US. But because regulation went there earlier, it's got it's more framed. It's got a bigger framework to it. But yeah, that's what I'd say. Is experience in the field, education, and doing the job gets you to be a good consultant.
Yeah, and that's why I was impressed when you said they were going to recognize your course over there, because I think I was doing an interview with was it Jackie, who made the movie Close? She was a female operative.
Jackie is great. Yes,
she's amazing. She's amazing. She's also going to be in our master's course, but she was talking to us, and she was talking to me about Jackie Davis, the differences between the U.S. and then overseas, and what they go through and how they look at us because of what we don't have to do. It was very interesting conversation. Candid, man.
Jackie's even less politically correct than I am. She does not mince words. Yeah.
No, it was definitely good, man. And then, just kind of digging into the industry, what would you like to see more of in our industry I feel like things are evolving so quickly, what types of things, or I should say, what types of major changes have you seen take place over the last few years? And then we'll get into what you'd like to see.
So many changes. There's too many to mention, but I think a lot of the changes I've seen in the last few years, it's that the industry has become quite soft. Right? I'm just going to duck down below.
Yeah, I want to hear about this one. Yeah. What you got, man?
I think the industry as an industry is okay. So I'll tell you, I can actually verbalize it now for the first time.
Right.
Because as on the commercial side, so the industry. Because we can't really, or we think we can't measure our ROI, our worth to the client unless there's an emergency, a lot of the time the industry falls into the trap of providing other non-security related services to the client, to the corporate or family office, because we're worried about proving our worth or losing the contract.
Yes.
And I think that's important. I think that's valuable because we can be the best Viking ninja in the world, but if we're not employed, it doesn't matter. So that's important.
Right.
But the changes that I've seen in the industry is that the priority of that, before at the beginning, you'd have security up here and then service down here just on a low flame. We're doing service to remind the client we're there and we're worth something, but there's still the main focus is security. Now what I'm seeing is that you're seeing service is the main thing with security down here.
Right.
The priorities have changed. And it's not a conscious thing, but that's what I'm seeing in the industry is that not all the time and not with everyone, but service is overcoming security. And I'd say if we look at executive protection, right, the executive part is becoming heavier on the scales than the protection part. And sometimes we're forgetting what our true north is. We're forgetting why we're there. And we're often, when I say we, I'm not putting myself in that, I'm talking about the industry as a whole, but we're often afraid to tell the client, and the client might not be the principal, I'm just saying in general, we're often afraid to say, hey, this is my job, this is why I'm here, This is not why I'm here. And I'm not talking about the level of carrying the cases and all that shit. Can I say that? I'll carry cases. It's fine. I'll carry the clients. I've carried a client. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
With Elijah Shaw. Elijah Shaw, I've carried a client. We carry a client and put the client over a wall. We've done it. So I'm not talking about that.
Yeah.
I'm not about carrying bags level. I'm talking about overall what we sell clients should first and foremost be risk-based security services, not contract closing services, right?
Yes.
We've got to close the contract. But what happened to security? And let me throw this out, and I'll sure get a lot of nods or head shakes in your audience. But how many people in the audience are working on details where there's no risk assessment done?
Yeah.
Ever. So in an ideal world, client will come to me and say, we want to, because we build details for clients. The very first step I say when the client comes to me and says, let me build can you build us a Covert Pro detail or EP detail or Ninja Viking detail? I say, where's your risk assessment? And then they say, well, can't you just do it? And I say, well, no, based on what? Why do you even think you need a covert detail? Like, why do you even want it? What's the risk? And in the end, of course, we do it, right? But we say to the client, the correct way, let us do a risk assessment for you.
Right.
Not as an upsell, but if we do a risk assessment, maybe we'll see that you don't need a covert secret ninja detail. Maybe we'll see that you need a chauffeur and a driver and a butler at home because your risk isn't there.
Yeah.
Or maybe we'll say, rather go for a high-profile detail because that's your risk and you need deterrence. And we'll put some covert people in the environment. So that's what I mean. The industry is so strong on the service aspect, they've forgotten the true north. And that's the big change. I mean, I can go on, but I don't want to make this a negative mudslinging thing at all.
No,
that's the big thing.
I think I'm glad you said that. I think it's going to give a lot of people a lot of things to think about, because I feel the same way personally. And I think it's very natural, especially with the pandemic and, and a lot of event-based types of operations being grounded and kind of being like, hey, it's survival time. We have to demonstrate our value. We're like a destroyer that's parked at the shipyard right now. And we're sitting target and the bean counters are back there looking at the pay sheet, looking at the accounting. And they're like, man, And
absolutely, we have to display our value. Absolutely. But on the day-to-day, we shouldn't forget why we're truly there. And I'll give you an example.
Yeah.
Upsell coming and marketing speech coming. I'm just giving you a heads up. But one of the services we do provide for clients, we build auditing programs, complete auditing programs as part of our operational readiness program. And one part of that, not the whole program, is what we call red teaming, right? Mm-hmm. And a lot of people do red teaming. But that's great. But a lot of
God
people
bless them.
approach for it. Yeah, a lot of people come to us, or we'll speak to clients and we'll say, hey, your system looks mature, your organization looks mature now. We've been working with you for a number of years, or we've come in and we see your things mature. Do you want us to test it real world according to risk-based threats? So some people go and that's okay, let's see if we can get a flower in the CEO's bedroom and stuff, and that's cool. But what we do is we come in and we say, what are your current threats? What are the modus operandi of the people that we know about? Let's emulate that and see if your system is capable of doing it, right? Because that's real. We can also do the wild card, but not all the time. And a lot of people won't do it. A lot of people won't do it because they don't want the results. They want to put their head in the sand and say, and it's the real leaders in the industry, in my eyes, real leaders that say, you know what? We're not ready. Sometimes they say, we're not ready. Let's get ready. We'll do it next year. To me, that's a leader that admits and says, we're not ready. Let's get ready. Right? Or the ones that say, absolutely, let's do it. Let's do it.
Yeah.
because it's important for me, and I'm confident enough to say, I want to know where we're not strong so we can fix it.
Yeah,
that's real leadership. That's real leadership. Real leadership is saying, show me where I can improve. Not
100%.
Don't hurt my ego and you're threatening me by saying I can't do it. No one does everything all the time. No one.
Right.
We can't stop everything all the time. But let's try to do what we can do to ensure. So I don't know. We even got into that topic, but yeah.
No, it's beautiful. It's such good stuff. It's also probably, a lot of the reasons why people won't do risk assessments, because they don't want to find out that they don't need the, platoon size Viking ninja situation.
And you have to be sensitive to that as well. So if I go, you have to be sensitive to that also. But we never want to throw client under the bus. Like, there are sensitivities, but do the process. You can compromise. Here's one for you, which we might or might not have spoken about an hour ago. If you have to compromise on the result because of budget, client preference, culture, what legal stuff, whatever, you sometimes have to compromise, but never compromise on process to understand your world. If you have the correct processes in place, you'll be able to understand how much you're compromising, not only what you're compromising, but what the effect is.
Because the output of the process will let you know how much the output of the process will give you the ideal 100%. Of that 100%, you might have to remove 10% here, 5% there, 15% there. But if you do the process, you'll know what the 100% of what you need is, and you'll know the price to pay of removing certain things, which will help you decide what you're removing. If I've got a set budget, is it more important for me to have a Covert Pro team, right, and an over team, or do I just need an over team and an advance? Because at the moment, I don't have an advance. What's more important? Do the process and see. Is it more important for me to have a fantastic 20,000 person EP detail, or should I fix my wall at my house because that's time, place, predictable? Right.
Go through the process and understand what's important.
Outstanding, man. This is good stuff. This is really good stuff, man. This is awesome, man. What
you say that to all the guests?
Yeah, no, I mean, I might actually. I don't know, but then I mean it when I say
it. But it's okay. I'm just screwing with you, Byron.
Yeah, no, for sure. What direction do you see the industry going in? This is something I wanted to ask you. What changes are you seeing?
I don't know. Don't know.
You ain't got a crystal ball or something?
I'm hoping the industry becomes less tolerant of the theater of security, pretending to do security, and becomes more welcoming of actual security and enabling people to do actual security as opposed to encouraging the theater of security. That's what I'm hoping. I don't know if it will go in that direction, but I will continue to do my utmost to promote that.
Outstanding. Yeah, I love it. And I think we'll all be better for it. The standards.
Absolutely.
And being as advertised, because everyone suffers when people aren't able to perform. The industry suffers, our perception suffers, and then the guys on the ground have to operate from a space that isn't respected, and that's one of the reasons on the first episode I said this. I want to restore honor back to our profession. It's an honorable profession, and I want to contribute to a more efficient and effective, intelligent agent on the ground.
Absolutely. Awesome. And to support that agent should be correct process from middle and upper management, because not always, so this isn't a poke at anyone, but not always, but often when there's what I call the theater of security in place, so it looks like you're doing security, but it's not really effective if you scrutinize it, that's usually upper or middle management that's pushing that message down, intentionally or unintentionally. And that's where I'm looking to influence. I'm looking to bridge the gap between the client feeling secure and actually being secure. What I feel happens now is often the client feels secure, but are they actually secure?
Right. Yeah.
And the ones that truly want to be actually secure will encourage the auditing programs because they want to ensure that they're secure. 100%. The ones that want to stay on the theater for the most part and just want a quiet ride will be the ones that do not want to test their systems. They just want smooth sailing.
Yeah, that's awesome. Now I gotta have you come test my system. I mean, it's true. It's the way, man. It's the way. You got to be as advertised. I 100% agree with you, and we see it on all levels. You know, we see the guy that's was once upon a time special forces, this, that, or whatever, and he gets in the industry and he just hangs out, man, and he just sits there and just doesn't train. He doesn't continue learning, and it's I know everything guy, and we see it in the teams that are like pick up basketball games, and you just kind of get a bunch of guys and throw them together, and like you don't know what anyone's gonna do, and
exactly.
You just think they're gonna be cohesive or something. We see these things you're talking about all kinds of places.
Absolutely. I had a client pre-COVID, and they asked us to have a look at what do they call it, the ERT, emergency response team. Mm-hmm. And I said, great, send me backgrounds of everyone on the team before anything else. Yeah. And they had someone from Rangers, much respect. They had a crazy person from SEALs, because all SEALs are batshit crazy. They had a former a career police officer. I mean, they had good people on the team. So I said, this is awesome. Can you show me your emergency procedures? Mm-hmm. And they were like, oh, we don't have. I said, okay, all right, we'll get there. What training has the team done as a team for emergencies?
Right.
They were like, oh, no, this one's a SEAL, this one's a Ranger, this one's a cop. They know what to do. You see, and therein lies the problem.
Right.
And this particular case, it wasn't intentional. Quite simply, the decision maker didn't themselves know, because they got to that position. They were they themselves were in another agency, not a security agency. They retired. They got this job at this company, at this corporation, and they just brought across what they thought, because they'd never actually worked on an ERT team. They didn't know. Yeah. And that's exactly the sort of thing that I'm trying to change through the academy. That's the kind of change I'm trying to bring to the industry.
And I love it because I've seen I've seen people make mistakes, and that approach I really respect which is trying to help people who are making those types of mistakes, instead of just eating them alive or talking bad about them or throwing their business out in the street. That's kind of been my approach. When I see people making these, I've had a couple, times where I've even seen someone post something and I've been like, I'm going to send this guy a message, because maybe he doesn't know, and I'm like, hey man, you don't want to have a tail number in your photo, or you don't want to do this, that, and the next thing.
Right.
9 times out of 10, the guy's like, hey man, I'm like, it might be your way of trying to push your brand, but certain people won't talk to you if they see something like this on your
Correct. You're doing more damage than good.
Yeah. And then
absolutely.
Every single time I've done that, it's been well received and it's been respected. So I think there's a lot to be said for trying to help a lot of professionals, because they just don't know, because it's like the Wild West in here right now.
It is.
It's still forming. It's an immature kind of situation,
and it's become quite cannibalistic. It's been a lot of people are being dicks unnecessarily.
Yeah.
I mean, like, what the fuck? So can you put that in?
Yeah. 100%.
I mean, what's it good for?
Who does it help?
It's like you don't need to. You don't need to break other people to push yourself. It doesn't progress you anywhere.
Doesn't work.
It just makes you untouchable. People don't want to speak to dicks, right?
Yeah.
I don't care what you've done or who you are. If you're not a good person, just stay away from me. I'm not interested. You're not going to help me.
Yeah. Well, and it catches up with you, man. It just catches up with you eventually. It's like it's a rule. That's what I've seen. So.
And I'll tell you, I'm no saint. I'm a dick as well sometimes, often.
Right.
Because we're human. So I'm no saint, but I'm saying there's people that go out of their way to harm other people in the industry. And that's sad when it has absolutely no bearing. And you know what? I'll tell you, I joined AS Solution in 2013, I believe, at its peak. It was great.
Yeah.
It was still a sort of small startup type company. And I had some smaller clients and smaller vendors that I worked with, mainly some small training partners. Mm-hmm. And on my very first, I knew Christian. Christian and I were working for many years together. And I said to Christian, I said, look, I've got this agreement with so-and-so and so-and-so and so-and-so. I don't want to screw them over. I don't want to steal the business from them. I don't want to screw them over. And Christian said something to me. He said, we never, ever screw people over on the way up, because if we do, they'll be the first to laugh at us when we fall down. Right?
Absolutely.
So look after everyone. There's no need to screw people over, and it just doesn't serve anything. There's just no need. There's enough business for everyone. There's no need to screw people over, unless they're trying to screw you over. And then I'll say, if someone's trying to screw you over, hit them with a 10-pound hammer, like finish it.
It's war. It's war.
But best to avoid those, best to take the high road, best to just not get involved.
Yep, 100%.
So I'd love to see that change in the industry. I'd love to see more. And it doesn't have to be kumbaya. Like, you don't have to like everyone. Just don't go out of your way to screw people over. Rather just take a backseat and watch them do their own damage if you don't like them. But don't go out of your way to harm people. I don't get that.
Yeah, 100%. I couldn't agree more. And we're all in this together. We gotta, I don't know, it just doesn't serve the industry either. So here we are.
Absolutely.
And then let's see, a habit that you think people should look into that either makes you a better security professional or a better person.
A habit.
Yeah, like something people should look at maybe doing with their lives.
So I think you hit it on the head. Just be professional. I think that's it. Like, just be the quiet professional. That's what it is. Be the person that, if you're the person that if someone does a search, a Google or Bing or Yahoo search, try to be politically correct. If someone does a search on you, be that person that nothing bad comes up. Be that person that if anything comes up, it's positive. Because if you live your life like that on social media, you'll live your life like that in general. Or let me rephrase it. If you live your life like that in general, it will be reflected on social media, right? So be that person. Stay away from drama. Do not get involved in drama. Don't get sucked in unless it's really extreme, but don't get sucked into drama. These are the habits. Really just focus on, when I say positivity, I'm not about like kumbaya and just if you have nothing good to say, don't say it. Just like our grandparents used to tell us, right?
Yeah, they were right.
Don't say it. It's very, very simple. Yeah, that would be my best advice, because that's what people remember. People remember drama. People remember bad things. And I know with me, if I get angry, if I get into altercations, whether it's physical, whether it's on the internet, whether it's whatever, on a phone call, at the end of that, I'll end up feeling shit. The other person doesn't care how I feel. They're out there. But it affects me. If I'm like, hey, I don't want to discuss this, I'm not interested, it just doesn't matter that much to me, then I don't feel that bad. And that reflects outwards. So, stay positive. Don't get involved in drama. Take the high road. That's really, that's the best habit I can say. Stay away from drama. Yeah, and I'll tell you something else. Be fit. Be physically fit.
Oh, yeah. That helps a lot.
Be physically fit. It's like, be physically fit. It's so important. I'm not always physically fit. I mean, I'm physically fit if I was 6 months pregnant, but be physically fit. When we are physically fit, we can last, we can stay alert for longer. We can we're healthier. We get sick less often. Mm-hmm. We can respond to threats better, which is what we do.
Right.
Be physically fit, run, cycle, be fit. That's the number one habit, I'd say. Sport has just so many good benefits for us as humans, and more so in the industry. If you're serious about being a protector, be a protector. Don't just be a protector with certifications. Live a protector's lifestyle. And if you're not going to live a protector's lifestyle, don't be a protector. It's okay. No one's going to look down on you.
Yeah. Do your thing. Do whatever you think.
Do whatever your thing is. But
everybody.
If you want to talk the talk, walk the walk.
Be as advertised. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I'm not talking about roiding up. I'm talking about being truly fit.
Yeah.
Be fit.
I dig it, man. That's good stuff. I couldn't agree more. The positivity thing, it's a real, it sucks that, it's almost like certain terms that like different have been overused. And so they've been kind of misunderstood and written off,
diluted.
And very diluted or weaponized. And so, so like the positivity thing, this is like a real, almost like a discipline that will contribute so much positivity to your life. Like it's like even for me, like I can't let myself stay in a negative emotional state or anything like that too long, because it actually impacts my creativity. It impacts the way that I interact with people.
And that person that put you there, that your feeling isn't going to beat them. You're not doing anything to them. You're not solving the problem.
Yeah.
Drinking the poison, exactly. Don't drink the poison, don't drink the Kool-Aid.
Right? Just drink water. Just stay on the water. Yeah, man. Lots of it.
And Jack and Diet. Don't forget the Jack and Diet.
And some Jack and Diet. That's what's up, man. Awesome, man. It's been the final question. How would you like to be remembered, Ivor?
Honestly, it's going to be super cheap. I'm not even going to say it. Hey,
no, say it. If it's real, it's real, man.
Not even going to say it. No,
he's like, nope. Okay.
Nope.
That's a good person, I imagine.
But I'll tell you this. For whatever someone does remember me, if I leave the industry, if I get hit by a bus or something, I hope whatever they remember is positive, either that I positively impacted them or positively impacted someone they know. That's really hard. Whatever it is, I want it to be positive, not negative. Mm-hmm. And if it's negative, because I'm not perfect and I'm no saint, if it is negative, I want them to learn from that negative impression and not be like that themselves, right? So learn from it. Yes. And last thing, I want to talk about my book, Byron.
Send it. Absolutely.
I want to talk about my book.
Yes, there's something to remember you by.
I see this. There we go.
There it is.
My book, Codename Nephew.
Yeah.
Codename Nephew. It's fiction, complete fiction, which I wrote. I started writing the book as a result of a childhood trauma, and I was just working through it, which I didn't see as a trauma, by the way. But in retrospect, I've been told it was. And it turned out to be a good story. So it's fiction. It's a good read. Good guy, bad guy. Did you read it?
I have not read it yet. I haven't read it yet, but I'm going to read it. I'm going to get there.
It's like a 2-hour read, dude. It's a book written by security, dude. It's not an epic novel. It's not a 6-week read. It's like a 2-hour read.
I'm going to get this done by the next time I see Ivor.
It's good guy, bad guy, lots of action, lots of real tradecraft, great plot. And it's pretty cool. And I don't make money from it, by the way. Any money that I make from it, I donate. This came today from Amazon. I don't know if you can see it. Right? So this is going to a PTSD foundation. All the proceeds of the book go to a PTSD foundation. I don't make money from it. That's not why. I didn't write it to make money. I wrote it to share a story about a fictional character. So Codename Nephew, it's on Amazon as an ebook, Kindle book, and it's on Amazon as a paperback. and it will not be coming out as an audiobook because it's a book. It's not a song.
Oh man, he's old school, man. He ain't giving us an out. We're gonna have to earn it. We have to earn every page. Good to go. Good to know, man. I'm just gonna have to get it and back through it. Good to go, man. Well, I that bit about the PTSD and stuff, that's huge. So that's amazing. I just say thank you for that, and just for veterans, man, that's doing something big. I definitely have a
for everyone. All people have many people, not only vets, many people are suffering from PTSD. And tonight, actually, in half an hour, we're starting our Memorial Day for Israel's fallen soldiers and for our victims of terror. So a lot of people are suffering around here from PTSD as well. It's all around us, and it can be caused by even a car accident or something else. So, it's important.
100%. Well, Ivor, it's been amazing. It's been an honor, man. It's always, I feel like we always have such great conversations. It's always great to connect with you and learn from you. So thank you for being here. Absolutely.
And thanks for having me. It's an honor. Thanks, Byron. Have a great day, man.
Will do, brother. Boom.
Yo, if you're a private security professional wanting to take your game to the next level, go to executiveprotectiontrainingday.com to check out my personal success package for private security professionals. Check it out, executiveprotectiontrainingday.com. And remember, y'all, hard skills do save lives, but soft skills get you paid. Boom. Boom. And to support this podcast, go to executiveprotectionlifestyle.com and contribute to our Patreon account. That Patreon account is what helps me make this podcast possible, contributing to this brand, what we're doing here, making it so that I can bring better guests on, making it so that we can plan more events and just expand the contribution to the private security industry and also to making America a safer place. Do whatever you can, contribute whatever you can, because it makes all of these things possible. Thanks for those contributions. Yo, and before we go, I got to shout out to the sponsors, starting out with Primary Weapon Systems, PWS. They truly are the evolution of the rifle. Use Byron for 10% off. Grayman & Company, the most comfortable tactical suits in the game. Use Byron for 10% off with them. Until the next podcast, this is Byron Rodgers, protector by nature and by trade. Out.